Good morning, I'm Anna Palmer.
And I'm Jake Sherman.
And welcome to the Daily Punch, brought to you by Punchbowl News. It's Wednesday, August 19th, 2026. Let's get into the mix. Here are your Washington headlines of the day. Number one, what last night's primary results mean for November. Number two, a possibility that senators are thinking about a 50-50 Senate. And number three, one thing to watch, surprise billing legislation. All right, Jake, let's get to it. There was a lot of action on the election front, particularly in Florida last night with some stunners. As well as some things that were expected.
Yeah. Well, the big stunners are, number one, Angie Nixon, a Florida state lawmaker, beat Alex Vindman in the Democratic primary for the Senate seat. That is very unexpected. You know, I can't rag on the polling industry here, Anna, because there was only, from what I see, one poll. It did have Vindman up 10, so that was a little bit off. That will likely, not that Florida was going to be competitive, but it will likely mean that it's not going to get a lot of outside spending and stuff like that. Ashley Moody is the incumbent. She was appointed by Ron DeSantis. Also, Corey Mills, the Florida Republican member of the House, who was in a lot of hot water after domestic violence allegations, under ethics investigation, has come under investigation by local authorities in D.C., lost his primary. He lost that to Ryan Elijah, a former TV news anchor. We kind of said that yesterday. And Dan Sullivan and former Democratic Rep. Mary Peltola will advance to the general election for Senate in Alaska. That is not surprising, but it is those are the big issues, Anna. What do you think?
Yeah, listen, it's always, I think this is another case of the Democratic Socialists. A win when you look at that Senate race for Democrats. And, this is not the person that Vindman was the person that Chuck Schumer and establishment Democrats wanted in the race for that Senate seat. To your point, it has implications in terms of the map overall. Not that I think, most people thought Florida's was going to go red either way, but it also just is another data point for the kind of socialist aligned Democrats who are running in this election as saying, listen, we are playing not only in, big cities and places like New York City, but we're playing across the country right now. And something that certainly Democrats are going to have to think about when they kind of go into the actual midterms, and certainly when it comes to who will be the Democratic candidate for 2028. A couple other names that we've talked about on the podcast. Representative Kathy Castor will face former GOP state rep Mike Beltran in the Tampa area district. Representative Jared Moskowitz beat back a primary challenger. That was one that we were watching fairly closely, as well as Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz. She won a crowded Democratic primary in Florida's 20th district with 45% of the vote, beating back 4 Black candidates in a district that has historically elected Black Democrats.
Yeah, the Moskowitz race in Boca is going to be a very interesting race. That is a Republican. It is still competitive, but Scott Singer is the former mayor of Boca who has won elections by humongous margins in the past. Democrats feel like Moskowitz could still win. Republicans think they have it in the bag. So this will be a very interesting one to keep an eye on going into the fall.
All right, Jake, let's go on to the number 2 story of the morning. Andrew Desiderio does some opining this morning, looking at what it would feel like to be in a 50-50 Senate. Senate Democrats believe they have a real chance. Certainly, they're making the argument that they could take the majority, but if they don't and they fall just short, getting into a 50-50 Senate becomes very precarious when it comes to just even opening the Senate floor.
Yeah, this is not a far-fetched thing. A 50-50 Senate could happen. And, that would be, there's just so many permutations this year, Anna, of what could happen in this election. You have, Alaska's in play, as we just talked about. Iowa's in play. You have Michigan in play. You have North Carolina and Georgia in less play. You have New Hampshire. You have Maine. So it feels like there's just a lot that could happen, but a 50-50 Senate would not be uncommon. And to be honest with you, I would say the last time there was a 50-50 Senate, it was in the 117th Congress, which was the first years of the Biden administration. I thought Congress was ill-prepared for that and ended up being one of the more successful Congresses in recent years. I would say Congress is really ill prepared with Donald Trump in office for a 50-50 Senate this time around. So anyway, very interesting item by Andrew this morning.
Yeah, he really gets into it, what that power sharing would look like, how they have to agree on a lot of things, the makeup of committees. I mean, all kinds of things get very tricky. It was hard enough when you had Schumer and then leader Mitch McConnell leading the way, but it becomes potentially with the newer members and the kind of current makeup even harder. All right, let's run to the number 3 story of the morning. We have an interesting item here by our healthcare reporter, Peter Sullivan, looking at surprise billing and how this is something that has come up before, but now the House Ways and Means Committee is working on an overhaul of the law protecting patients from surprise medical bills, according to sources familiar with the discussions. This could come up as soon as September, which is a big issue because the implementation of the last major bipartisan law on this from 2020 has faced some hurdles.
Yes, it will. And by the way, a September markup is not uncommon, but is something that will be mixed in with a lot of other very important things in the next couple of weeks. The measure will seek to address some of the concerns with the 2020 law that fixed this law the last time. The approach would bear a bill from Greg Murphy that penalizes insurance companies that do not meet payment deadlines, with measures cracking down on ineligible claims submitted by providers. Another scoop from Peter Sullivan, our healthcare reporter. Very good item this morning.
We're going to leave it there. Thanks so much for listening. We appreciate it. If you like the Daily Punch, share it on social media. Tell your friends. It's the best way to find out about us. And of course, you can go deeper on all things at punchbowl.news. Have a great day and stay safe, everybody.